Warframe is a third-person sci-fi shooter developed by Digital Extremes. In the game you play as the Tenno, some ancient race that's awakened after a long cryo-sleep. Basically, you found out that there's all these factions now within the galaxy trying to compete with each other, and you're there to take it back. I really like the fact that Digital Extremes have actually created a world that is pretty unique in the sense that I actually feel like it's really dark for a sci-fi world. Not in the sense of the story, but in the sense of the environments. The environments themselves are really good. They are like how you could imagine a dystopian future would be. You've got these giant, gloomy ships. Nothing's made to look nice. Everything is just metal and steel, and it's very raw. They've done a really good job of making me feel like I'm actually part of this sort of ongoing war between these factions. To give it credit where it's due, I actually think that's one of Warframe's biggest strengths, the environment it creates. There are some other things which I don't think are as good, and I'm going to touch on those in a second, but I'd also like to mention the sort of free-to-play model they're going for. Now, after looking at it and playing a good 10-11 hours of it, I've noticed that it's not actually a pay-to-win model that a lot of free-to-play developers and publishers go for. It's actually a pretty good thing they've got going at the moment, which is where you can speed things up and you can get things faster using platinum, which is their currency, or you can actually just, I'm pretty sure you can get everything in the game without using platinum. It just takes a lot longer and farming and things like that, certain levels and whatever, but I actually really like the way they've done it. For example, I really wanted a bow for stealth kills. Now, I could have spent a while actually collecting the materials for that, but I thought it may have been worth my while to actually invest in some platinum to get it, so I ended up doing that, and I like the fact that you are actually given a choice. You're not forced to buy weapons because you have to use them. The actual basic weapons themselves are really good. I actually think the basic weapons are some of the best, so yeah, that's something to think about. Now, where the game falls down a little bit has to be on the actual, I don't know, it just seems like the idea of the game, for me, isn't really it doesn't really do it for me. I love the environments, don't get me wrong, I like the concept. My only problem is, playing it as a solo player, I can definitely see why a lot of people would find it repetitive. It's just a game about going through levels, your objective slightly changes, but you start at one end of the spaceship and you walk to the end of the other end of the spaceship. That's pretty much it, and you shoot everyone along the way. I don't know, it seems like a game that would be a lot more fun with friends, and if you've got friends, by all means try it out, but I can't give it a higher score based on the fact that it's better with friends, because that's not part of the game. That's just, if the game is designed well enough, I should want to play it as a single player, because there is a single player option in the game. Otherwise they should have just made it, you know, completely multiplayer. But you know, that's where it falls down, I feel. The fact that the game is constantly updated is also actually a point I want to touch on, because there's a lot of developers that go down the free-to-play route and then don't update their game often enough to keep players interested. Now, I'm looking at the store page now, and I haven't had a chance to play the content from it, but they've recently just released an update called Rise of the Warlords, and it includes a lot of stuff. 22 new weapons, 9 new mods, new levels, new Warframe, and they've added these things called dojos as well, and these updates seem to be quite a regular occurrence. You can obviously see that people want to support the game and, you know, want it to be successful, and the developers aren't actually squandering their money whatsoever. They seem to be investing it back into the game, which is always really nice to see. The reason I gave it a 7.8 out of 10 is because I personally found that playing it solo was not really as fulfilling as I imagine it would be playing with friends. I have played it a few times with friends, and it was definitely a lot better. But the problem with me was obviously organising when people are going to be on and things like that. But yeah, if you have friends, it's definitely worth checking out. But I'm gonna have to knock some marks away because playing it as a solo player, I didn't actually feel like it was something that would keep me engaged for ages. It's certainly a good game, and I can appreciate the effort that's gone into it, but it's not going to keep me engaged for a long while.